Well, welcome. I am Professor Rentschler. I am thrilled to have this many people at our orientation. We started these a couple years ago, and attendance has increased, and this has, I think, tripled or quadrupled the attendance we've ever had. So this makes me very happy. So welcome. I hope you find all the answers you're looking for today. And if not, someone will have them afterwards for you. So we're going to do a couple of things today. I want you to get to know some of us. We want to get to know you and what you need. And then we're going to go through an overview of the School of Ed. We're going to talk a little bit about the AA side, the transition to the bachelor's, and then what to expect once you're a bachelor's student, all the way through student teaching, and then graduation. So we're going to kind of walk you through all of that today. So this is us. Like I said, I'm Emily Rentschler. I am with the elementary education department. I also teach the classroom management classes, which every single program takes. So I have the opportunity to have each of you at some point while you're here. So we're going to go around and introduce everybody else that's here today. You'll notice on the yellow sheet, everyone that's here, you'll have their name and email and what they do in our program. So if there's one that you're particularly interested in, star that name, or as each person introduces themselves, if they say something and you're like, oh, I'd have a question for them, this is for you to take notes, and it's so that you have all of our emails as well. So.
Hello, I'm Professor Bosworth. I teach reading in the School of Education.
Hi, I'm Dr. Zagans. I'm a CSE professor here, and then I also teach some of the elementary ed classes as well.
Hi, I'm Professor Kingard, and I teach your reading and TESOL courses for endorsement.
Hi, I'm Dr. Amatucci. I'm the Dean of the School of Ed. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ward. I'm the Teacher Education Coordinator. I will work with you once you get to student teaching with your LiveText.
I'm Dr. Zaid. I am the math specialist and department chair right now.
And then there's a few people that couldn't be here today, so if the person that is in the program you're looking for is not here, at the end I'm going to give you business cards, but you have their emails, so there's lots of ways you can contact and get any information that you need. So I'd like to know a little bit about who's here today that will help us as we kind of plan. So I have a couple questions for you. So you'll see you have a little yellow card that looks like a QR reader. So hold that one up. And if you look really carefully at it, you'll see there's an A, B, C, or D. So if you're going to answer A, you actually hold the A up towards the sky. If you want to answer B, hold the B towards the sky, and so forth. You cannot cover it with your hands. So hold it by the edge. So my first question for you is, who are you? Are you not an IRC student at all yet? Are you a current AA student, a current bachelor's student, or are you just here for support today, which is fantastic? So hold that up nice and proud. You can see your number on there. So once your number has scanned, you can put your card down, and that helps me know that I've reached you. You might have to hold them up high for me. Once yours is scanned, hold it down. Did I reach everybody? I got you? Okay. Fantastic. So it looks like we have a lot of AA students here and a few that are in the bachelor's program. So fantastic. Let's see, I have a couple more questions for you. Maybe. Okay, if you're an AA student, I am which of these programs? So if you're not an AA student, I'm so sorry you don't get to answer this one. But if you are, which program are you in? Good. All right. So that helps. Let's see. A lot of elementary, a couple secondary. No PE today. Interesting. Okay, now bachelor students. What bachelor students do we have here? Elementary ESE, a math program, or a science program? I know there weren't too many of you here. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. And then I have one more. Perfect. Last question for you. Just so we can figure out how to best reach people. How did you hear about this orientation today? The only one I couldn't fit, the only thing with clickers, you can only have 4 answers, and I kind of wanted to have an answer that said, I heard about it from someone. So if that's you, you could just tell me. Oh no. Your finger might be covering it. There we go. All right. Gotcha. All right. Let's see. Perfect. All righty. Thank you so much. That will help us. So, in case you don't know, these are the programs that we offer. So our AA programs, we have an elementary special education track. We have a secondary education track, and we have a physical education track. So those are the 3 types of AAs you can receive. Once you move over to the bachelor's side, we have elementary education, and you graduate with your reading and ESOL endorsement. We have an exceptional student education, where you graduate with an ESOL endorsement. We have a middle grades math, middle grades science, secondary biology, and secondary math. So those are the different things. Yes, ma'am.
What if I want to do English, high school English?
What would you do?
So if you want to do high school English, or you want to do history, or something that's not up there, then what the state of Florida allows you to do is take one of these programs here at the college. So you could do ESE, which is a K through 12. You could do one of the high school programs, which would be our biology or our secondary math. Then once you graduate, you can take any of the certification area tests that you want to be certified in to teach. So once you graduate, you have something called an initial teacher degree. It's a professional education degree, and then you can sit for any of the other tests. So if you want to do English, high school English, you can take that test and be certified and teach high school English. So you have a diverse background. It makes you a little bit more marketable. So if you have questions about that today, you can ask any of us, and we can give you some more information.
So for example, I've had elementary students graduate who wanted to teach art or music, but we don't have a secondary art program. So they graduated with an elementary license or an ESE license, then they took the art test, and they're licensed to teach art. So if we don't have a program you're looking for, there are ways that we could still help you get that degree. So, okay. So once you're a member here, we have some different clubs and organizations you can be a part of. We have the Academy of Future Teachers. That is for anyone. You can be an AA student, a bachelor student, an EPI student, and that is a club that meets about once a month, and we go out and do different activities in the community, different walks. We do different things with students. So our next meeting is April 1st, which is next Monday, at noon, and it's downstairs in C207. So if you're interested at all in joining that particular club, you can just show up that day, and we'll get you more information. The meetings last about an hour. Yeah. And then, do you want to talk about TEAM a little bit?
Sure. So TEAM is our teacher education alumni mentoring program. And so if you, as you come into our program in the AA or the bachelor's degree, we try to pair you up with a mentor, a student that is maybe one area above you. So if you're an AA student, we'll try to pair you with a bachelor student that's in your program that maybe has another semester or 2 ahead of you, so that you have someone that you can go to when you have questions about which professors to take, or things like that, that maybe how much is required for certain courses, so that you can just get some information from another student. you graduate, you try to pair or get into student teaching, try to make sure you're paired up with an alumni out in the schools. So that way when you graduate, you have someone that you can connect with out in the schools and in the community in your school district. So that's still in the works, but if you're interested in a mentor, please let us know and we'll get you paired up with someone.
And then once you're in the bachelor's, by invitation, we have Kappa Delta Pi, which is an honor society, and it's just for education majors, so you would get an invitation for that. We had our induction last night. We have a new inductee who's here today, so that's something to look for too. Okay, I wanted to let you know that downstairs, one floor down, other side, we have C207. That is a workroom devoted to our education students. That's meant for you to use. We have materials you can check out. We have supplies. We have books. We have math and science manipulatives. We have tons of things. We have lots of desks that a lot of students like to work on. We have group areas that if you're working on a project with others, you can come and meet. It's a room for you to study, to check out things. It's actually where a lot of offices are too. Dr. Lord's office is down there, and she gets a lot of traffic coming to look for different materials, and she can help you with anything in that room. There's staplers and hole punches and just anything you would need as you're preparing lessons. It's also a great place to video lessons. For a lot of different classes, you're asked to video a lesson of you teaching. And so you're more than welcome to do that at home, but a lot of people like to use the classroom environment. And so in 207, we have it set up just like this, that you could teach your lesson, using the dry erase board and using the projector. So that's for you to use as you'd like. So downstairs, other side, 207. So maybe on the way out today, you could stop by and just look at that. Okay, so guided pathways. So don't look up here. Look at your specific one that we passed out. If you still need one, come on up here to Dr. Bodorf. She'll grab you one. This is the classes that you need to graduate from your program. Now, a lot of you are AA, but I gave you the bachelor's one because you've said, I'm getting ready to complete my AA. So don't get confused. But the way that they're laid out is done, we put a lot of thought into that. It's not just every course you need at random times. We put a lot of thought into putting the courses that would be best for you to take first at the top, all the way down to the bottom. You'll notice if you have a bachelor's guided pathway, your very last semester, for most of you it's on the back, is student teaching. That has to come at the end, and we'll talk more about student teaching in a little bit. But you'll notice that that first semester, the majority, I think every single guided pathway for bachelor's has the class EDF 3214. We put that there for a reason. That class is a prerequisite for almost every other class in the program, and so you need to take it your first semester. So as you're looking to schedule classes, it's best if you can try to follow this as closely as possible. That would really, really help you. On that yellow sheet that has all of our emails, the person that's in charge of your particular program is the best person to talk to about scheduling. So your advisors are great, but we really have a good understanding of each of the classes, the order they go in, what classes should be taken together, which ones should not be taken together. So no one knows that better, than the people right here in the trenches doing those classes. So I would recommend to you, as you're making schedules, to reach out to whatever person that is and have them help you, create a schedule as you go along. So you'll notice the prereqs. I do say to look very carefully at that too. There are a lot of classes that build off of each other, and so just be mindful of the prereqs too. Anything else about the guided pathways I should share? Yes.
Pay attention to the courses that have field experience. They're not offered in the summer, and so often we have students that get to the very end and they need one field experience course and they expect to take it in the summer, and it's not offered and it puts off student teaching for an entire semester. So pay attention to those.
Good point. We'll talk about field experience in a little bit if you're wondering which ones those are. So, okay, questions about guided pathways at all? No? Fantastic. Okay. So I wanted to share this slide. So as you move through a program, hopefully you're going to be in email correspondence with all of us often. You're going to also be emailing principals. You're going to be emailing cooperating teachers. You're going to be emailing a lot of different people. So this is something I like to share. I got the same message from 2 different students the same night, and I just wanted to share with you the difference between them. So student A emailed me and said, "Dear Professor Rentschler, I am working on creating a PowerPoint for M3A1. I see that the information for the Prezi is based on a website. However, when I click on the website, the link is broken. I am wondering if it is just my computer or if others are having this issue too. Thank you for your help." That was what one student sent me. The other student, student B, said, "The link doesn't work for the PowerPoint assignment. I was going to finish it tonight, but I can't now. Send the correct link." So, which A or B, which one would you choose? I should have it a little clicker game. Which one was the correct email? A, all right. And I only say that to show that, one, who do you think I answered first? A. Who do you think I was nicer to in my email, probably? A. Sure, let me get you that link really fast. I'm so sorry about it. So it just comes across a lot nicer. So my point here is, think about your professionalism when you send emails, especially when you're communicating with the schools. These are the people that are going to be hiring you. These are the people that are going to be accepting you into their classroom to teach lessons. How do you want to be seen in your correspondence? So whether it's a course message, whether it's an email, they're never texts. These are professional correspondence. So just my little examples. Okay. So the majority of you are in the AA program. So you want to become a bachelor's student. This is what needs to happen first. You need to have a 2.5 GPA. You need to complete your AA. You need to have taken EDF 2005, which I think a lot of you in here are in that right now. And then you need a passing score from the GK or the general knowledge test. We have a whole slide devoted to that in a moment, so I'm not going to go into the GK just yet. But we do need those 4 things to be accepted into the bachelor's program. So a lot of those, you'll ask, when should I do that? Well, the 2.5 GPA you should do along the whole route. The AA you should, obviously, when you get the AA, that's when you come in. EDF 205, you'll see that in the guided pathway for your AA. That can be taken at any point. The GK, that is something you do not want to wait until the end of your program, right before you want to be admitted to take. It's something to be thinking about now, because if you do not pass a section of it, you won't be able to apply for the program. So you'll need to take it again, and you have to wait 30 days between tests. So if you want to become a bachelor's student this summer, you need to be taking it now, not the week before you want to apply. So it's something to be thinking about more long term, and we're going to talk about the GK again in a moment. But that's the one that, if that's one of the pieces of the puzzle you still need, really be looking into that one, thinking about when I want to schedule it. And maybe you're not going to apply to the bachelor's program for a year now and you have some time, but that's one that you definitely don't want to wait right until you want to apply to work on. Okay, so once you apply for the bachelor's program, or how to do it, we have the website up here. I'm going to email this slide to everyone who gave me their email so you can do it. It's also on the IRSC webpage. And then this works you through the process of applying. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, and Dr. Zagans is going to talk more about the GK test, but I just want to make sure all the information she's talking about is on that sheet. So does anyone still need a sheet for the GK?
It's like this, white paper.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so as Ms. Frenchler said, this is something that's required to enter into the bachelor's program. So it's something that you want to be thinking about at least a semester or 2 ahead of when you're thinking about applying or entering. So at the top there, it'll give you the link on how to apply, but you do it online to register for the exam. And then when you go to take it, there are 2 locations that are closest to here that you can take it. There's one in Melbourne and there's one in Boynton Beach, where that's mostly where the students go. So when you go to register to take the exam, just keep that your travel time in mind, things like that. So there's 4 areas to focus on: essay, English, reading, and math. If you wait until April 22nd to take the exam, then the prices for retakes are going down. So where originally it was $150 to retake the exam, now it's only $32.50 for the section. So that's a big decrease if you're in that position where you're having to retake a section. Is that correct, Dr. Lloyd? So that's something to keep in mind too. But the initial cost of the GK is still $130, and that's not changing. So just the retake prices are changing. That's per section. So, and then it kind of doubles or triples depending on how many sections, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So the 4 sections, the essay is the written portion, but the other 3 sections are multiple choice. They each have about 40 to 45 questions, and you have about 40 minutes on the English to an hour and 40 minutes on the math. So it varies per section. You do get to use a calculator on the math section, and you get a reference sheet, but it is general skills. So it's not necessarily things that you're learning in your education classes at the AA level, so you can take it at any point. Whereas later in our bachelor's, those tests that you take later are based on content, where this is more of your general basic skills. And we do have some academic support center where they run some classes for you, to help if you need some assistance. We're also hopefully going to start offering, can I share that? A 1-credit course. It's going to be a GK prep course, and it'll be online, and hopefully that'll be offered in the fall. So if that's something that you're a year out or so, that might be something that you want to look at, but that should be up and running in the fall for you. What else? There's, put it on the back, yeah, some online resources. The top one there that is bolded, that's one that the students really recommend, and we like here as professors. We look at it as a good resource. The other resources are, good as well, but that one was one that the students really seem to get a lot from. Are there any specific questions? Yes.
You said the essay, English, reading about 40 minutes per section?
Yes.
Okay.
The essay is 50 minutes. Yeah. And then English is 40, reading is 55, and math is an hour and 40 minutes. So they all run about on that.
So when you plan to take them the first time, you take them all together. You take all 4 together, and it's a good 4-hour time commitment. You take them back to back to back.
Yes.
Is the format of the test similar to like a SAT test?
No,
It's not.
it's not. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Dr. Lauren?
Your math will go up through approximately algebra 1, nothing beyond functions and slope and graphing lines of that nature. According to their website, the reading goes up through about 9th grade, and the English is just your basic sentence structure, punctuation, appropriate nouns and verbs, and usage of that.
So truly the basic skills of those
essay, but
subjects.
It's basic skills where your SAT is going to go all the way through the end of high school. You're not going to get that in depth with the math or the reading.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I bought on Amazon, NaviEd has a book.
Yes.
It's like $25, something like that.
Yes. Did you like that one?
Yeah, I haven't taken the test yet, but yeah, I like going through that one. It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
they explain things really well in there.
So yes, no, you've got. So the ASC Lab has study sessions. The last one for English is this upcoming week. So if you're interested in catching that last one, I'll let you know. Come ask me later. We send out the flyers to every class we have. So if you've been in a class with us, we post those flyers. But what you can always do is you can go to the ASC Lab website, and they also post when they're having study sessions. They have 4 math study sessions this semester and 4 reading, English, grammar. They kind of do it in different pieces each semester. I don't know if they do it over the summer. I don't remember. But definitely in the fall and spring. However, if you contact the ASC lab and say, I'm interested in getting GK help, they do have people there that are trained to do that, but they're not there all the time. So instead of popping in, if you call and make an appointment, they're more than happy to work with you. I have a lot of students that go to the ASC lab and they will actually give them a practice essay. You'll go home, do the essay, and then bring it back and they'll score it for you, and they'll go over, you know, what you could have done differently, what you did well. So take advantage of that. The more you study beforehand, the better of a chance you'll have at, you know, passing it. So put a little bit of work in before you take it, and that's very helpful. Yes.
What is passing?
So it's 200 is the pass score for the 3 multiple choice sections, and then for the essay it's 8 out of 12 points. So you do get a pass, unofficial pass still for the 3 multiple choice sections right away when you take the test, and then but your written portion takes a little bit longer, and then they'll mail official results after that. But you should know when you leave, at least with those 3 sections, how you did. And if you don't know where our ASC lab is, it's in the center of campus here above the library. And then we also have them on the other campuses, on the satellite campuses as well. So if you need help finding those or information, just let us know. We can help you.
And I put a green bookmark on the majority of your desks. If you got a seat in the back, I'll have to give you one before you leave. And it does have the hours and locations of all of the ASC labs. So there you go. Yes.
That's a question. Do you handwrite it, or do you get a computer? Do you get type it?
It's typed.
Does that spell check?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
Just check.
That's a good question. Probably not.
One of the links on here is information about what's on each section. So definitely check that out, and that'll give you a little bit more detail about what is on each section of those 4 tests. Yes?
If you finish a section early, do you get this?
You can end, yes. You can end and start the next one, yes. And you can take a break between each section? Or halfway between, after 2, you can take 1, and then you can take the other 2. So.
And the last thing at the bottom there, which we forgot to mention, IRC, through our library, we have LibGuides, and we have some free, they're free to students, current students, study guides on there for you. So if you haven't purchased one yet and you want to check out some of those first. Do we have GK study guides in 207 also?
I don't have any right now. They're all
They're checked out.
this semester, but I will get them back by the end of the semester.
So check back to, in 207, and Dr. Ward might have some later.
Just curious, if you want to check out a study guide here directly from, or a book directly here from the college, what's the time limit usually that we're allowed to check it out?
From the regular library, or from
your
us?
department.
We don't really have a time. Do we have a time limit, Dr. Lauren?
I don't think so. All of the study guides are available online, so you can go into the online library and just download a PDF of the ones we have available.
But as far as our resource center, I mean, just in a timely manner is kind of how we are. Yeah.
If you're using it and getting good use
Yes.
out of it,
If
it's yours
sitting on
until you
your
need it.
shelf, yeah.
Okay. So any more GK questions? Okay, fantastic. So during your AA, we're going to talk about field experience now. So during your AA, you take one class that has a field experience, and that's EDF 205, and that is 15 hours, and it's observation only, so you're not teaching any lessons, you're observing. You pick your location. We don't place you for that one. You do have to get a clearance letter. Your EDF 205 instructor will tell you about that. I do think the majority of you are either in EDF 205 or have completed that. So if you have questions about that later, I can answer more about that. Once you move to your bachelor's, some of you have this on a yellow sheet, some of you have it on a white sheet. So once you're in your bachelor's, there's a lot more field experience components. So the first one being EDF 3214. Everyone takes that class. I would recommend taking it very early on. That is also 15 observation hours. Has to be in an accredited school, but you get to pick where you do that. So that's up to you to pick. Again, you'll need that clearance letter. But that one is the first field experience. And these next ones get more specific. So this is for elementary and ESE. So if you're not elementary or ESE, close your ears for a few seconds. So elementary and ESE, these 3 courses are when you will have field experience. It's RED 309, EDG 4377C, and TESOL 4100. So for each of those 3 classes, you'll have 3 different field experiences. And what happens for these are we place you. So you fill out an application, and then we place you at the district of your choosing. So you can choose Okeechobee, Martin County, Indian River County, or St. Lucie County, and we place you with a cooperating teacher at a school. During that time, you will go in and do 20 hours of observation, and then you'll also teach 3 lessons. So of those 3 lessons, your cooperating teacher will observe 2 of them, and then one of us will come out and observe a 3rd lesson. So you'll end up seeing 3, you'll have 3 observations at the end of that. Okay? So those are the 3 for elementary. Yes, ma'am.
So if we request county, say a teacher, they would request us, if they knew we were going from.
No, the way it works is we send to the district how many students we need, and the district places you, and then they let us know where you are. So I don't think that the teachers could really do that. But good question, good question. All right, so that's elementary and ESE. Dr. Zaid, can you talk about these? No?
I have a question.
No? Okay, I can try, yes.
Professor Rentschler, with
Yes.
the structured field experiences courses, the ones that require 20 hours and the 3 lessons, will students be placed in the same school, or could they be placed within the same school within those 3?
Good question. So I'm going to start that one with, it's probably not a good idea to take all 3 of those classes at the same time. So I'm going to start with that. I should have said that at the beginning. And that goes for math and science as well. You do not want to do all your structured field at the same time, because 20 hours might not sound like a lot right now, but you can't do 20 hours all at once. You know, you're doing 2 hours here, 3 here, coming in and doing a lesson here. So it's a lot of work, and the cooperating teacher can't have you there just at any time. It has to be a time that works for you, a time that works for your cooperating teacher, and then when we come out to observe, it has to be a time that works for us. So scheduling more than 1 at a time is very difficult. You'll notice on the guided pathway, we did not put them together for that very reason. So keep that in mind when you're scheduling. We do have a few students that are placed in 2, or that take 2 structured field at the same time. Sometimes we can work it where we place you in the same school with the same cooperating teacher, because it's easier to schedule 40 hours with that teacher than 20 with 2 separate teachers. It can't always work out that way. It depends on what your teacher is certified in. For example, if you're taking a TESOL course, your teacher that we place you with has to be TESOL certified. Is that the question you were asking? Okay. Also, once you're placed in a school for a structured field, for your next structured field, we're going to place you somewhere different. And then for your 3rd structured field, a different school, and then for student teaching, a different school, so that you have a varied and diverse portfolio. Yes, so when you're done, you've had experience in lots of different atmospheres and environments.
Do we get to pick the grade level? Or
No.
Okay.
Nope. We will try our best to make those varied and diverse. So if you have a structured field in 1st grade, hopefully we'll have another structured field in an upper grade. Student teaching hopefully will be somewhat different. So it should not be that you're 5th grade, 5th grade, 5th grade, 5th grade. We try to vary that as well.
Is it very K through 12, or?
If you're elementary, it's K through 6. If you're ESE, it's K through 12. And then middle grade science, high school biology. So, yeah. Yes. There was another. Yes.
The end of the year stuff that we have to do for the bachelor's program,
Mm-hmm.
That part, do you choose what school you go to, or you get placed?
For these 3, we place you.
Yeah.
Yes, we place you in the school.
But for the student teaching, you get to choose?
No.
No?
No. We'll get to student teaching, but no, we place you for student teaching also. The only time you choose is EDF 205 and EDF 3214. Those are the 2 that you choose the school you want to go observe in. Good question. Okay, so for the math program, if you're in middle grades math, look at the top part of that. It's on your sheet. If you're secondary, look at the bottom. These 2 classes are taken at the same time, and that's 1 field experience. These 2 classes are taken at the same time, and that's your second field experience. So math has 2 field experiences, not 3, but you'll notice that each course you're doing 40 hours of observation and 4 lessons. Yes?
40 hours of observation for each class?
Yes. For these 2, it's 40 hours, and for these 2, it's 40, so 80 total. Yes. Am I correct on saying all that? Perfect. Okay. So one of these is actually the field experience, and one is a course that you need to take together because it gives you the knowledge needed for that field experience. So same as secondary math. These 2 are taken together. Those 2 are taken together. They're both the 40 hours. Yes.
So I've noticed that they're kind of switched.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Yep.
Why? Why is that?
Why are they switched? They're switched for the middle grades and then the secondary. I think just because of the class that goes with the structured field, that one just comes at a different part of your guided pathway, I think.
Can you repeat the question? Is it
The,
the question, why am I going into middle school and why am I going into secondary for
No.
my practicum, or was the question something else?
No, the actual course where it's taken together, it's switched for, if you do the middle grades, you see them, it's the same courses, but then they're switched with each other.
Here's the cool thing. I don't know that I'm going to answer your question, but this is the cool thing that I've seen and that I'm very happy about. If you are taking the secondary degree track and you want to be a high school teacher and you're so excited, we actually make you also do a practicum in middle school just to try it out. Now what happens is you get experience in both, and sometimes you switch. You're like, I really liked the middle school. But another thinking behind that is if you know what's happening in the middle school, you're going to be a better secondary teacher, and vice versa. Did that even come close to answering the question?
It makes sense because since you're secondary, you're thinking from 8th to 12th grade when you're thinking about it. But then we split it up, and so me personally, I wanted to focus on the secondary instead of the middle grade. But I can still teach the middle grade without actually taking the courses.
So write my name down, Robin Zide.
Yes.
When you get close to graduating, I want you to come talk to me and tell me how awesome you thought it was that you got to experience both. I'm not kidding. I hear it all the time.
Okay.
So fantastic question.
So, what's the difference between middle grade and secondary? Secondary in high school, middle school, or?
Correct.
Okay.
And
Middle
the classes
grades.
are different. Your program is different in both of them. So you can compare it, and I'll be happy to talk to you afterwards as well.
in middle grades math, you can teach 6 through, go ahead.
Well, the certification for middle grades is 5 through 9, and then it's 6 through 12 for secondary. So you need some experience at both levels because the certification spans over middle school and high school to a certain degree.
Perfect. I learned something today too.
Another question. If I do secondary math, could I, like, in theory, also teach middle grade math?
Yes.
Okay.
It all depends on what you're certified in. So and those are based on the tests you take. So like we said earlier, if you're certified in this, if you're certified in secondary math, but you want to teach middle grades math, you just take that test, and once you pass it, then you'll be certified in that as well. So.
Which is it's an awesome key, and it applies to anyone. Once you get your degree, whatever you get it in, if you decide that, oh, I want to be an English teacher, or in your case, you want to be science and math, then
whatever you want to be certified in, yes, you have to take a test for that area. Yes.
So they're grade specific?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
So then the same with science. This is 30 hours of observation, but you take these two together for middle grade and these two, and that's 30. And then if you're doing secondary biology, these two together and those two together for your structured field. Same concept as the math ones. So, okay, a couple more things before you go. Critical assignments. In your AA program, you will have one critical assignment in each education course. In your bachelor's program, you will have 2 critical assignments in each course. That'll be every course in your whole bachelor's. You want to save those in every place possible that is safe, that is not your desktop. You have to have these when you graduate for your portfolio, and you do not want to have to go back and hunt for them. Your classes, you won't be able to find them in your class. Blackboard won't open. You'll have lost them off your hard drive. So right now, if you haven't, save a virtual folder somewhere, the cloud, Dropbox, Google Drive, somewhere that you are saving every critical assignment, and label them with the number of the course you're in. For example, I don't know if you can see it, it's at the bottom. Label it EDG 3620 CA1 lesson plan. Because when you go back for your portfolio later, I promise you the student teachers have to hunt these down, and they spend hours and hours going through documents and different computers, and then we get emails, can you go back and try to help me find this? So start right now in the habit of saving them somewhere safe, or even 2 safe places, so that you'll have those. Yes?
I don't remember having any critical assignments for the AA. Like, I had 2 classes left, and I'm like,
So good news, you do not need the AA ones for your portfolio. So it's nice to get in the habit of saving them, but you don't need them for the portfolio. So it's really more of a bachelor's thing, is to save them. Yes?
For our online portfolio, I'm assuming it's still LiveText?
Yes.
I'm in the 3410.
Yes.
With Professor Anderson.
Yes.
I would assume I would learn about LiveText in my technology class, and kind of, maybe. When will I learn about it? Because I haven't.
In the next slide coming up.
Okay, good. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, in the next slide, I think it's the next one, I'll talk about LiveText. Yes. Good question, though. Yes.
That would be like the lesson plans we did in EDF 2005?
In EDF 2005, it is your observation hours with the log that you fill out.
Or maybe it was a technology class where we had to make a lesson plan.
Yes, that's your CA. And we title them CAs, so you'll know which ones are your CAs. Yes, save those. Okay, so LiveText, awesome. So LiveText is something you're going to need to purchase. Right now we're purchasing it at, a lot of people purchase it in EME 3410. You really start working on this near the end of your program. Dr. Lord holds an information session that is one of the most important things to go to. She lets you log on to LiveText once you've already purchased it, and she helps you actually figure out how to navigate and maneuver and use it. So what you do is during student teaching, you upload all of these CAs, you match them in different areas, we'll talk about that later. But the most important thing is to start on it early, meaning once we have this meeting. So you really don't need to be thinking about it too much now, other than the cost. It is $130. Oftentimes when you get to student teaching, you're not working during student teaching, and so having an extra $130 is something that's of a hardship somewhat. So you might want to think about it now. Be saving some money along as you go so that this purchase isn't a roadblock for you. And what you'll end up doing is you're going to upload these documents. You will also end up uploading all the structured field you did, a log of that. You make a little profile, you upload your resume. And the other thing is you upload 3 letters of recommendation. So one thing I say to do is as you're doing your structured field, if there's a co-op that you have a good connection with, ask them for a letter of recommendation. This is oftentimes one of the hardest parts about LiveText, is finding 3 people that not only say that they'll write you a letter of recommendation, but actually do it. Okay? Yes?
Professor Rentschler, is it appropriate to ask your professors for a letter of recommendation?
Unfortunately, no. So you'll really want to be thinking, starting now, who do I want to ask that? You can have one be a personal recommendation, but the other two need to be professional. So oftentimes people have a boss that they've worked with. I know you work at the Oxbow Center, so maybe one of the one of your supervisors there could. There you go. So you know she's been running these kids camps, and here's how I see her interacting with the students. So that would be a perfect example. Sometimes you have a job that's uneducation related. That's okay. I'm sure you're using skills in that job that are directly applied to education. Can you multitask? Can you show up on time? Are you punctual? Are you a hard worker? So those same skills apply to teaching. So be asking for them now, so when you get to student teaching, you can just pull out letters of recommendation instead of having to email people every single night trying to dig up those. So that's just a good tip to have. Yes, ma'am.
So this is something you start working with once you're working on your bachelor's?
Yes, really right now you do the majority of uploading and doing everything that semester right before student teaching, kind of right before. It's due during student teaching, but we have the meeting this semester before student teaching, and those that are the most successful student teachers are the ones who get it done ahead of time, so that during student teaching you're not working on it. So, but definitely I would start it the semester before student teaching once you've met with Dr. Lord. So, yes. It expires after 7 years, so you have 7 years once you've purchased it. So, good questions. If you have more questions about LiveText, Dr. Lord afterwards can answer all of those. So, okay. So, we're getting to the end. Once you graduate, or once you want to graduate with your bachelor's, what do you need? Well, you still need that 2.5 GPA. You need to complete student teaching during your final semester, and student teaching is my last slide. You need a C or better in all your content area courses. And then you need to pass 3 tests. One is that GK, which you've already passed because you needed it to get into the program, so you have the GK. Then you take 2 more tests. It's on that same website that we gave you for the GK. One of them is the professional knowledge exam, and then you take your subject area exam, which is what you asked about earlier. So if you're an elementary major, you take the elementary exam. If you're an ESE major, you take the ESE exam. If you're secondary math, you take the secondary math exam. So those exams, the subject area, are different than the GK in that we can say for the GK, take them now. They're general knowledge, take them now, get them out of the way. With the professional subject area exams, those are ones that you need the content from the courses we teach to take. So those you'll take near the end of your program. Again, not at the very end, but near to the end of the program. We'll be talking about those in all of your classes. We help you prepare for those, but just so you know, those are the 3 tests you need to graduate. And then student teaching, last but not least, this is the very end of your program. So you've completed all of your courses, and you get to the end and you student teach. It is a 60-day commitment. You're in the school that we place you with the cooperating teacher for 60 days, school days, same time as the teacher's there. So if the school is, you're really there 7 to 4, think about it that way, for 60 consecutive days, which is 12 weeks. So I think that's, and it's, again, as we said before, that's fall, spring. You cannot student teach in the summer. School's not in session for the summer. So just like the field experiences and student teaching can only be taken fall and spring. Yes?
If I get sick during my student teaching, say I come down with the flu and I'm out for a week, do I need to make up those 5 days as well?
Oh, yes. So 60 days, if you're out for a day because you're sick, you tack a day onto the end. So it's not 60 days from the beginning, here's my 60-day mark, I'm done. It's whenever you've reached 60 days. So each student teacher ends at a slightly different time. Some districts take a day off for different reasons, some don't. Depending on when spring breaks are and all of that, you have to be in the classroom for 60 days. Yes.
Half days, like when the schools have half days, do those count?
Yes, because you stay. So you'll stay with the teacher and do the professional development, so that will count as a full day, yes.
What about teacher work days? When the teachers in school but the students aren't, do those count?
Once you've started with the students, they do count. If you go before the students start, they do not count for the days.
Okay.
We encourage you to go.
Okay.
So we do say that that's a great way of getting to know your teacher, getting to know the school, helping out, seeing how classrooms get set up. But once the students start their day one, that's your day one.
Okay.
But then after that, if there's a teacher work day, that does count.
Okay.
Good question. Perfect. Okay. There's a quote. I just want you to read that one for a moment. I just gave you a lot of information, so you need an uplifting quote. And then I want to leave you with one challenge. Over here, you have the business cards of every single one of us in the department. I fully understand that sometimes papers get lost. So you have papers with all of our email, but I encourage you to pick up a business card and put it in your wallet, because that gets lost less frequently. Wallets hopefully get lost less frequently than papers. And my challenge to you is sometime this week, whichever program you're interested in, send that person an email and just say, hi, I'm so-and-so. I look forward to being in the elementary program with you. And that way we have your email. We can keep in contact with you. We can send you things. It's just nice. So I encourage you by the end of the week to send someone an email. And that's it.